Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our LiveWire program. Today on the show, we're going to visit with Doug Stebleton. Doug is the author of a unique book that it's called It's a Wonderful Time, and it's a novel, but also along the way, you're going to learn a lot of facts about the holiday classic, It's a Wonderful Life, and we're going to chat with Doug about that. He joins us from California. Doug, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing great. A little bit behind the background of this before we get into the actual It's a Wonderful Life trivia, if you will. What inspired you to write a book about time travel?
Well, it wasn't something I had planned. Let's see. I guess I had gotten an idea. There was a pedestrian walkway right outside of Hollywood on the 101 Freeway, and I was kind of curious. I didn't know what it was, so one day I stopped to look at what it was, and I walked down these steps and just realized it was a walkway going underneath the 101 Freeway to the other side. So that was back in 1985, and then fast forward about 8 years in 93 or so. I remember driving by it on the freeway, and I just had an idea. Wouldn't it be cool if somebody was getting chased out of Hollywood and they end up having to run down through that walkway underneath the freeway, and rainy, stormy night, and lightning comes down, hits the railings, and the guy goes through a time warp and comes up on the other side in 1940s Hollywood. Same exact area, just 50 at this time, 50 years in the past. And so that was the original concept, and I made that into an outline, and then around 2005, I made it into a movie script. I co-wrote it with a friend of mine who had done a lot of scripts, and so that's how it started. And got it around, I got a pretty big producer to come on board, a guy named Doug Claiborne, who read the script, and he thought it was really good, and said, "Yeah, let's try to get it made." So we went around sent it out to a few places in Hollywood, some of the people that he knew, and we got really good response, but they were basically passes, and they were, said, "Hey, great script, great concept, great, or very unique story, but it's not what we're looking for at the moment." So that's kind of how it started, and it was like going to be about a $20 million film, so kind of expensive, a lot of money to raise, and as I was just in the last couple of years thinking as I'm getting older, I might never get that made into a movie, but I could actually make it into a book or into a novel, just, make it a little longer and stuff. So that's what I did. And I ended up co-writing it with my friend Reinhard Danka, and we started that in basically January of this year, and we finished it in, around June, and it came out in October. So that's how it happened.
And I'll be honest with you, I could see, especially what's going on in streaming platforms now, they could pick this thing up and turn it into a multi-part series or anything now. I mean, the options to me are even more open for you now, maybe than they were a few years back.
You're 100% right, because sometimes I think it's all about timing in life, and it wasn't the right time, I guess, back then. But you're right. With the streaming networks, they're called the streaming studios now. Hulu and Netflix and Apple TV and Amazon, they have gobs of money, and they're looking for content. So that is a possibility, and if that were to happen, I think I'd like to get maybe 2 or 3 books done to kind of have the concept in place. But the way it happens now, they could take book one, which is this one, It's a Wonderful Life, and make it a season. And the season doesn't have to be 22 episodes, like it was back in the day. Sometimes the season now can only be 5, 6, 7, 8 episodes. So I think that's very possible, and I would definitely try to do that. But I'm not getting ahead of myself. I just need a couple books done.
So now this character that you, Evan West, did you base that on anyone that you knew? What's the story behind Evan?
No, that's a good question. When I came up with the idea, I didn't know. I knew somebody was, getting chased. I didn't know why they were getting chased. I was just letting my imagination go. And then so when I got back to my office that night, I just grabbed some blank pieces of paper and I just started writing, what I thought would be interesting. After maybe, I don't know, a few weeks, not very long, I needed to name the guy, so I wanted to make him young, around 25 years old, because I wanted him to be working in Hollywood as an editor, and then I decided to make him a movie trailer editor. And for his name, when I wrote this back in '93, I was thinking if he was 20 or 25 years old, he would have been born around 68 to 73, somewhere in there. And I was thinking maybe his parents, if his parents were hippies, they'd probably, Evan is a good name, kind of a hippie name for their son. So that's how I came up with the name Evan. I kind of like that name anyway. And And then for West, which is his last name, that was just, I didn't really have any idea, but I figured since he's in Hollywood, he's on the West Coast, we'll call him Evan West, and that's how that came up.
All you needed to do was have him be born at the Spawn Ranch on the pass road there, and everything would have been all tied up nice and tight, right?
That's funny, because as you know, we were talking, that's not very far from where I live here in Simi Valley. That's just right over the hill.
Yeah, my first trip to California, we had to take that road, the freeway, and it wasn't even done yet, so yeah.
Yeah,
it was a fun little trip. But all right, so now, why It's a Wonderful Life? What led you into that particular movie?
Well, that movie happens to be my favorite movie, and so when I wrote the story, I had him coming up on the other end in 1940s Hollywood. I didn't have a specific year, and so as I was writing it, I was thinking, well, out of all the years I'd pick in the 40s, I think 46 would be my favorite year for a couple reasons. One, that was the year that they really did make the movie It's a Wonderful Life. It was in the summer of 46, so basically April to July is when they were in production for the film. Also, that's right after World War II, which happened in, I believe, May of 45. So we're talking, 10, 11 months after the war. Things are kind of fresh. All the guys are coming back from the service, and I just thought it'd be an interesting time to show Hollywood during the making of while they're making films, but also the war being over. And so that's why I picked it. It's a Wonderful Life, mainly because it was my favorite film, but I just thought that would be an interesting year to focus on.
And the way it's phrased in the press material, and again, I haven't had a chance to completely read the book. I saw a lot of the synopsis and stuff, but
yeah.
Evan goes back to save It's a Wonderful Life, in effect, correct?
That's what happens. Yeah, he finds out that his boss from 2021 has found these 16 millimeter films of the movie, but it's like a bastardized version of it from a movie mogul, or not a movie mogul, but a studio boss from back in 1946. And in real life, the way I got this idea was there was a time capsule made in real life back in 1943, and it's at the Mann's Chinese Theater, and it was regarding the movie Mrs. Miniver with Greer Garson. And it was a movie about life in Britain during the war. And excuse me, when they after they finished that movie, they at the Chinese theater they had her handprints there, but right above the square where the handprints are, the big block, there was a little square, maybe like a foot by a foot. And it's still there today. And so in my research, I found out that they put a time capsule there, and they put things from the movie of 1943 and the time. They put the script in there, and they put these 16 millimeter films of the actual movie, and a few other trinkets from that time, the World War II time. So that's how I got the idea that. So I just decided instead of Mrs. Miniver, they did that with It's a Wonderful Life in 46, and that version is the version that Evan has to make sure does not get put in that time capsule. So he saves the movie that we know today. Excuse me. The movie that we know today is because Evan was there to make sure it got made the right way.
Yeah, well, and I thought you were going down the Ted Turner route for a while, because you probably remember all the hubbub when he decided he was going to colorize a lot of these classic films, including It's a Wonderful Life. It didn't go over real well with a lot of people.
No, it didn't go over really well. I think I did see the colorized version. I remember when all that was happening. I much prefer the black and white version because I can understand maybe from the color version with Christmas and everything, but It's a Wonderful Life is actually kind of a dark film. It's really not about Christmas. It happens during Christmas time, but it's really about suicide. He's thinking about committing suicide because he's lost all this money. It deals with sacrifice and disappointment, him not getting to leave the town. So I think it works way better as a black and white film.
I agree. And if memory serves right, and I don't want to get too far off in the weeds with this, but it was not a huge success the first time it came out, was it?
No, when it came out, let's see. Well, the premiere of it was December 20th in 1946. And it played in New York at the Globe Theater, and then when the general release was basically in January of '47. But when it came out, unfortunately, there was a major snowstorm on the East Coast, and a lot of people, it was pretty heavy snowstorm, so a lot of people just stayed home that weekend and did not go to the movies. And so, unfortunately, they didn't see a lot of box office that first weekend, which is very important. You know, the first weekend is very important for a movie, kind of is the gauge of what they can expect. And so, did not do well at the box office. The reviews actually were mixed reviews. A lot of people say that the reviews were bad, but that's not true. I think it got more good reviews than bad reviews, but there were mixed reviews. But you know, the film was actually nominated for 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. But so it was definitely, you know, people knew about it, but yeah, it just didn't make the money they were expecting. Actually, Frank Capra lost about $500,000 of his own money on it. And then, you know, back then, you know, we didn't have cable and all this stuff and DVDs. So after, you know, 2 months in the movie theaters, they just it goes back and it sits on the shelves. In this case, at RKO, and just was waiting for its time to be shown again. Which maybe you know we can talk about that.
Absolutely, yeah. But before we do, I wanted to ask you, because you are touching on real life characters here as well, Jimmy Stewart, yeah. Frank Capra. 2 things. First off, how did you research them and get to know them in their real life personas, and did you have to talk to their families in order to maybe indulge in this book at all?
Excuse me. Well, I've been a big fan of Jimmy Stewart in his movies for many years, and also Capra. So I've seen a lot of the movies that they did back in the 30s, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, and You Can't Take It With You, and that stuff. So very familiar with the movies, and also I do like to read books. And I love World War II history. I'm a World War II history buff, and also a Hollywood history buff. So I've read a lot of books through the years, and you know, you learn a lot through books and reading, and so that's where I got most of my information is through books. There was a book that I actually have here on my desk. It's called It's a Wonderful Life book, and it was written by a lady named Janine Bassinger, and I think this came out, I don't know, maybe in the late 80s or so, and it has the whole original script in there, and then it has a lot of trivia and, you know, Western Union telegrams, and things like that, of just all the history of the movie. So I just learned through, basically reading books. I never did talk with the Stewart family. Never really needed to. There's just so many books on Jimmy Stewart, you know, so there's plenty of information to find.
Sure. So, and as you kind of indicated, this movie really wasn't appreciated until well into the future. How did you incorporate that into what you have here?
Say that again. I'm not sure if I heard you correctly.
Well, like It's a Wonderful Life, we were just saying earlier, it really wasn't appreciated until, as you said, it's time.
Yeah,
you know?
The reason why it is appreciated. Yeah. So what happened was in 1974, there was a clerical error, and since it wasn't a big hit, they weren't putting much attention on it, and they didn't renew the copyright in '74. So for like a second term. And because of that, that allowed the movie fell into public domain, allowing channels to share it for free or to play it for free. So from '74 to 1994, about 20 years, everybody, if they're old enough, they could remember. During Christmas time or Thanksgiving, you would turn on the TV and you could turn to every other channel, and It's a Wonderful Life would be on some section of the movie. And the reason why is, all these stations were able to play it for free, not having to pay a license fee. And so that's when it got a whole new, whole new generation of fans who never saw it before. And within that 20 years, it just took off, and it got a new life. It's '94. NBC ended up getting the copyright, so now it's owned by them, and so they play it maybe twice a year around Christmas and Thanksgiving. But 20 years is a long time, and just everybody. That's when I remember seeing it. I saw it actually before that, but I remember when I was in Billings, Montana, one time. This was like in the, I don't know, maybe like 89 or 90. I remember seeing it in a bargain bin at some store as a VHS, and I thought, oh yeah, I'm going to get that, and I still have that copy. So once it went out on DVD, VHSs, and then eventually DVD, and then being on there for all those years, the American Film Institute has it as the rated #1 inspirational film of all time, and also on their best films of all time, it's rated number 11. So it's a quite a unique and popular movie.
I can remember actually on this program, it's been probably 10, 15 years ago, I had a chance to interview Carolyn Grimes, who played Zuzu.
Oh, yeah.
And what a special lady she is, and so many great memories she shared about working on that particular motion picture. And again, that's what I like about your book. You focus on It's a Wonderful Life, but you don't, I guess, over-focus, because you also take us elsewhere with this novel. And we run across, Tesla, I think you bring into the play. There's a character named Huckabee. Tell me a little about some of these other characters that are in your book.
Yeah, so the guy that worked for Tesla, so in the movie script, it was just a one-off script. I never thought about making it into a book or even in a series. And my friend Jack Erickson, who has a thriller series called the Milan Thriller Series, I was picking his brain, kind of learning how to deal with publishing and books and stuff. And he liked my script, and he said, "This is a really good story." And he said, "But you might want to consider." He said one-offs don't do as well in the book world. He said if you came up with a series, you'd be better off, because if you get a fan base, they want to read more of what you're doing. So I thought that was good advice. So that's how I came up with the idea for the Hollywood Time Travel series, and making it a series. And this my script, which is now a book, It's a Wonderful Time, is book one. And then each year and a half or so, we'll write a new book which will focus on another movie or person, in the Hollywood realm. But getting back to that with the other characters, since it was a series, since we decided to do it as a series, I thought it would be more interesting to have Evan not be the only time traveler. So we came up with another character, and his name was Dr. William Cooper. He's a young guy, 29 years old, and we have him being born in 1870, a black man from 1870. His parents were actually slaves. This is 5 years after the Civil War and slavery, but he's a extremely smart guy, almost like a genius. And we have him being Nikola Tesla's assistant in the late 1890s, and that guy was way ahead of his time. Tesla with the stuff he was doing with electricity and wireless technology, and so that's an interesting for our character to have being studied with someone like that. It definitely works good in figuring out time travel. So that's how he got involved, and so his name is Dr. William Cooper. The guy Huckabee is when I wrote this right when I was writing the outline around 2002, working on it more. Columbine happened in 1999. That was when we first started hearing about these high school and college shootings, and so I put that in the book just as it was something that was happening in culture, unfortunately, and we have that as part of the story because of one of Ellen's violent trailers that he works at a movie trailer house, and he feels kind of guilty because the guy is from doing his trailer, he goes into a school and shoots up the school. And so his name was Martin Thomas Huckabee, I believe his name was. So that's where he came from. But you're right. The movie focuses around. The book focuses around the movie It's a Wonderful Life. So we're on the set a lot, so it's I think it's even better than being a fly on the wall, because you get to see it through Evan's eyes, and he actually meets Jimmy Stewart through certain circumstances at a little diner, and then ends up working on the film as an assistant editor for Frank Capra. So he's literally involved in the film, but there are other things happening. There's a love interest. Her name is Dorothy. He actually stays in Jimmy Stewart's guest house, so he's living the life. And so if you want to get to know what Jimmy Stewart's like, I think we did a pretty good portrayal of what a great guy he was in the book.
One other thing you did, and I mean this in a complimentary way, but unfortunately in Hollywood it many times can be viewed as taboo, and that is you introduced elements of spirituality in this. What was the impetus behind that?
Yeah. Well, in the movie script, there was none of that. It was more of just a fun romp, time travel, going back, kind of like Back to the Future. It was the script was very in the tone of Back to the Future, which the book is also. But the spiritual side was when Reinhard and I were writing it, we thought, since It's Wonderful Life did deal with some of that, the movie starts out with God in heaven saying we need to help this guy George Bailey. He needs help. People are praying for him. So right off the bat, that movie starts like that, and there are some heavy scenes where Jimmy's praying in the bar where he needs, "Dear Father in heaven, help me," because remember the money was lost, and different things like that. So we thought we would incorporate some of that in the book with Evan and Coop. And so with Evan, we have him as definitely a believer in God. He's not exactly sure about all of his beliefs, but he definitely is a believer. And he prays, and he's trying to figure that stuff out. But Coop, on the other hand, we have him being after being born in the South. His parents move up to Harlem in New York, and so he spends a lot of time in the library and is raised in the Baptist church. So he has a very well understanding of the Bible characters, and so his faith is very important in the book. And we can we'll work on that more as we go into other books. I don't know exactly how. But yeah, we put that in there on purpose because I think a lot of people will connect with that, especially in America.
Absolutely. So what about the next book? Are we going to go to another movie set? What's your plans for the next book in the series?
Well, I don't want to get into it too much, but yeah, we definitely go. We're in Hollywood again, and certain things happen at the end of the book, book one, that aren't expected. And so book 2 is definitely dealing with Hollywood, but it's going to be dealing with some different people. It's more about a person rather than a movie, but there's still going to be movies involved. We're dealing with movie studios, movie studio heads, and we're literally taking real historical people, and we're kind of putting them into our story. And then we're having some creative license and adjusting some things that work for our series. But it's really kind of a fun. If you like Hollywood history, I think you'll like these stories. And even if you don't, if you like time travel or historical fiction, I think you'll like the stories. So.
No, I would agree. I love the concept, and I'm anxious to follow the series now. And I love reading, but again, this thing, as you kind of indicated, it was written for Hollywood, really, and it just kind of comes off that way in what we've talked about here today. So
yeah.
Seeing it come alive on the big or the small screen would be wonderful.
Yeah, and also I just wanted to mention, I know we haven't talked about this yet, but if anybody's interested, in learning more about the series, there is a website. It's called HollywoodTimeTravel.com. And on there it has, the synopsis, as you said, and has a book trailer and pictures and, all the stuff that you need to know. And you can buy the book through there. There are certain links that when you click and it'll take you to Amazon. That's where it's mainly available right now is Amazon.com. And it's a wonderful time.
All right, real quick before we wrap up, and then we'll give out that website again. But if you had a choice and could pick someone to play Evan West in the movie version of this, who would you choose?
Well, that's a great question. When I first came up with this back in 2005, and I was pushing the script, the guy that I felt would be best for him was Shia LaBeouf. Now, Shia LaBeouf's a lot older now, but back then, his personality I felt kind of fit Evan. Now we've changed that a little with Reinhardt and I because we've decided to make Evan kind of really in love with the 40s. So he drives an old 1938 Ford Coupe. He dresses like they did back in the 40s. He's not a reenactor, but he takes uses Brill cream, and he's like really into that time. So when he actually goes back into 1946, at first he thinks he's either dead or it's a dream, but he acclimates pretty good to it because he kind of knows that history well. So back in 2005, it was Shia LaBeouf. Today, I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know who it would be. Well, I'm sure that if Hollywood makes it into a book series or a TV series, there'll be plenty of actors to pick from. Believe me.
Yeah, well, I was thinking just Ryan Gosling. I know he's a little bit older than the character, but he has that. Especially after seeing him in La La Land, he could fit this mold pretty good, I think. So.
Yeah, he was so good in La La Land. Yeah, someone like him could be good. I really don't know. Yeah, I think I'll just worry about that get to that point. But yeah, there'll be plenty of actors who'd love to play that role because it's a fun role.
One step at a time.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Doug, thank you so much. Again, the website is HollywoodTimeTravel.com to get more information about this book and the series that'll be coming out. And I look forward to maybe talking again when the next book comes along.
Yes, that'd be great. I really appreciate the opportunity and the invite to come on your show. Thank you.
Take care, sir.
Okay, bye.
All right, it's Doug Stebleton with us again. His book is called It's a Wonderful Time. You can go to HollywoodTimeTravel.com for more information. We'll continue with LiveWire right after this.